Aloha, everybody. Aloha. It is Aloha Monday. No, yeah, Monday. It is Monday. Let me get my stuff set up here so I can see all comments. Hope you guys can hear me okay. I missed you guys. I missed you guys. Great to be back home after an emotional week in Seattle, Linwood, actually, Linwood, Washington, with my dad, who should be popping on any moment now. Yeah. Hi, Jane. Hi, Auntie Mary. Who else is on here? Yeah, we'll have Dr. Miscovich and Dr. Akiona coming on tonight. It's been a while. Thanks, Debbie. Yeah, it's good to be home. But boy, I missed my dad, my Seattle Ohana. Yeah, we missed you too. Really, it was like I said, an emotional week. But life goes on, and prayers still going out to my dad and my Seattle Ohana. I got two half sisters up there. I got my step auntie Marcia, who's staying with my dad for the time being. I really appreciate them. What's up, Tyson, Janelle, Trish? I'm gonna miss some of you because this thing is scrolling pretty quick. Thanks, Marlies. Yeah, we missed you guys. I decided not to do a show while I was in Seattle just because I wanted to take full advantage of the time with my dad and my Washington Ohana. It was really nice, actually. Really nice to be able to hang out with pops. Haven't seen him since I think it's been 4 years. A lot of it because of COVID. We had planned a Christmas trip to surprise my dad and my stepmom with our kids, and my dad got COVID on the week of Christmas. There, my dad is on. Hey, Dad, good to see you on, man. Miss you. That was tough to leave. I gotta tell you, it was tough to leave. But he's in good hands up there, and prayers go out, Dad, to you and Christine and Marcia, Auntie Marcia, and everyone else up there that's your support crew, taking care of you while we're over here. So, good news is my dad most likely will be coming home next month to Kauai for his birthday, and I'm hoping that he does. What's up, Dwayne? All the way from Howell, Michigan. Oh my gosh. And as you can see, Charlie's not here. A bit of bad news. COVID sucks. Okole. Um, Charlie just found out a few hours ago that he lost his mother-in-law from his late wife. He lost his wife to cancer. I think most of the village knows that. And his mother-in-law from his late wife passed away last night from COVID. Um, had COVID for about a week and passed away last night. So our prayers and condolences go out to Uncle Charlie and that entire Ohana. We keep saying that uh, COVID is pilau, and I know many of us in the village. Charlie, this is Charlie's second, a very close relative, really, lost to COVID. I think most of us have lost loved ones, and yeah, I hate it. I hate COVID. I hate what it has done to us for the last 2 years. And I can only pray that as we move forward with opening up and starting to try to get back to some kind of normalcy, that COVID will go away. And we'll hear from the doctors tonight. I'll be honest with you, man. I just detached myself last week. I wanted to really focus on spending quality time with my dad, and you know I can only hope that COVID has run its course, and I try to stay positive. I try to stay positive and optimistic, and you know, like in Seattle, a lot of people still wearing their masks, even when they went and they lifted their mask mandate, I believe, on Saturday, Friday or Saturday, something like that. But even with the the mask optional guidelines, a lot of the people are still wearing masks, and that's a good thing. Of course, you're still required to wear a mask on the airplanes and the airports, public transit. So that is, that's still a good thing. We'll see what happens as we move down the road as things open up. So yeah. So again, prayers, condolences to Charlie, his family. As if he just jumped on, he lost his mother-in-law from his late wife to COVID last night, and he said he was going to try to make it on the show. But I understand it's hard. It's hard to do the show with a heavy heart. You know, we all know that. It's not easy. And that's Charlie's son's grandma. So the grieving period has just started, and the shock, anyway, it's yeah. So loves and hugs and prayers and condolences going out to Charlie and his family. I think COVID is going to touch a lot of people, more than what it already has. And it's nice to see the numbers going down. I saw Kauai's numbers today, 0 cases. I think we still have 2 people in the hospital. Prayers go out to them. But we still have a lot of people suffering from COVID, and we pray for them as well. So I'm curious to hear how Dr. Miscovich. Again, I kind of detached myself from COVID in the last week, so I really am not up to speed on what's happening around the world or in our country, uh, or even in our state. So I'm here to absorb just like each and every one of you, and we'll see what where the discussion leads. So I hope all you guys having a great week. Hope you guys having a good time. It is nice to see some of the restrictions get lifted. I really mean that. I'm tired of this lockdown, not lockdowns, but these restrictions. But I also am very, very concerned about the safety of our people, and we gotta, now more than ever, we gotta really focus on making sure we are safe and we are protected. I came in yesterday. I tested on the mainland, tested this morning here. I'm going to telework until Wednesday. I'll take another test. I will make sure I am virus free before I venture out to anyone. I did have to go to the doctors today. As many of you know, I got to go have surgery next week, Wednesday, on Oahu, for that doggone kidney stone that's set up camp in my kidney. So I had to go to the doctor today for the pre-op exam. And as I went through the questions, have you returned from a trip in the last 10 days? I said, yeah, I returned yesterday. Oh, oh, okay. Let me go talk to the doctor. And I said, it's perfectly fine if you want to reschedule. That's all cool. But no, they took me in. Of course, I had my own isolation room. Doctor had a double mask. Everyone was like, you know, freaking out. But like I said, I tested this morning. I tested yesterday, and we'll test in 3 days and 4 days and 5 days. My free test just came in. I just ordered my second round of free tests from the government, and it came in today. It was real quick. I ordered it while I was in Seattle, and it was one box of 5 tests. So I know the last time I had 4 boxes of one test per box. The one I got today is one box with 5 tests inside. So we're well stocked with tests. So I'm gonna make sure that we test, and test. Best of luck with that damn kidney stone. Yeah, yeah. Oh, my wife is on. Hi, Patsy. How are you? Yeah, man. I honestly wish I didn't have that kidney stone. So I don't think we'll be on next Wednesday. Just a heads up, and we'll see what happens on Friday. Hopefully, I'll be in top shape on Friday. Uh, Obviously, we're gonna spend a couple days on Oahu, Patsy and I, just to make sure there's no complications. So anyway, I'm not sure where the doctors are. I'm not sure where Dr. Miscovich. He usually pops on pretty early, but We shall see. So, how's everybody doing? Anybody got any questions, concerns, gripes, good stories? That'd be nice to hear some happy stories. Any good news? Any good news? I watched the news, and it's like nothing but bad news. I mean, whether it's Ukraine, all these violent crimes that's been happening in our state, uh, murders, the attempted murders, the accidents. Man, it's just no new good news. There's no good news, and we got to really do the show flying good on painkillers. No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Tyson. Nope. I don't like taking painkillers, and I probably won't be taking painkillers unless I absolutely have to. But Brenda, my grandson plays third place in nationals for wrestling in Iowa. That's cool. That is cool. Congratulations. Congratulations. Julie Souza. Holy moly. Haven't seen you in a while. Have not seen you in a while. Patsy's gonna be with me up in Oahu, so she'll make sure I get taken care of well. Hopefully, hopefully it goes well. They oh, the high gas prices. Oh my God. It was the gas. I was watching Facebook and seeing the people post the gas prices here on Kauai, and it was still cheaper than what it was in Seattle, uh, in the Linwood area, which is remarkable. I don't think I've ever seen the fuel prices or the gas prices on the mainland being more expensive or more cheaper than on Kauai. So I don't know what it is today. I think we went over the $5 mark. I think I'm not sure what they did say on the news tonight, though, that the price of oil, the barrel, went down um, to $99 a barrel. We will see if that relates to lower price per gallon cost, because I think these guys take advantage. They use that as an excuse, and they can rack up the rates for gas. I just that's how I feel, because I remember when the gas prices dropped, probably last year. I mean, I forget, quite a while ago, and everybody said that, oh, you know, we're going to see the reduction. It's going to take a couple of weeks. We never saw a reduction. Never did. They lied. You know, people continue to make money. Oh, what's up, Dr. Akiona?
Hi.
Aloha. I don't know where
Different.
Misco is.
Welcome back. Different
Thank
setting.
you.
Hmm? I'm
Thank
at.
you.
I'm in
It's good to be
Wahiwa
back.
today.
But you're in Waihawa.
Yeah, I had to pick up my daughter, so I'm with my parents there. She's
All
coming back.
right.
There she is.
Hi there. How are you?
Hi.
How's school?
On break, so she's very happy.
Oh, is
She
it
gets a
break right
2 week
now?
break. Yeah, they're on spring break, so
Oh, okay. Okay.
she's gonna have lots of mom time.
Awesome. Awesome. Go horseback riding or do something strange like zip lining or something.
I know we gotta save gas because it's definitely. I think it was like the other day. It was the 4.53. I think at Costco, and so that means that it was over $5 everywhere else. And we gotta save gas now. We gotta go ride bike.
All right.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Hey, gotta get the
Hi,
bicycle.
Charlie. Long time no see.
How are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, Charlie. Good to have you on. Thank you for joining us. I just shared with the village, and Doc, I don't think you were on, but Charlie lost his mother-in-law from his late wife last night to COVID. The grandmother of Charlie's boys. So, Charlie,
I'm
again, I
sorry.
didn't expect you to come on, but I just want to say prayers, condolences go out to you again,
Thank you, brother.
and the village is behind you, my buddy. We'll be praying hard for you and the Ohana.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Well, sometimes certain things happen, and some days had passed since she had gotten COVID, but nevertheless, it's we don't know what rhyme or reason only. God has His plans, right? So I just want to make sure that my boys are okay. They're very close to their grandmother, and even though she was in a nursing home, but they still got to see her. She was out and about talking. One of those things. She was well into her 90s, so she led a good life. So I'm proud of that. But I just feel for my sons. They got that avenue. They were very brought up in the church as well. So, and my mother-in-law was a big part of that the church over in Kahana, Napili, I should say, on the island of Maui, and everybody knows her. So, it's just one of those things, and just to keep things in check. Still gotta be safe somehow.
Yeah, it's not never easy to lose anyone for any reason. You know, and COVID just really brought it home for a lot of people
Yeah,
because so many people lost their lives prematurely, and that is a hard thing for people to accept. Is you could be totally fine, and then you get hit with the virus, and then the body just goes downhill real quick. And I think that's kind of the message that I have for people is you cannot underestimate the the severity of this virus. I don't give a damn what variant they're talking about. I don't care who says it's mild or less severe. The bottom line is this: COVID in any variant, any form, is a bad virus to get, and we got to make sure that we stay safe. So anyway, hey Doc Miscovich, thank you for jumping on, buddy. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, sorry to hear. I think I came on late to understand, Charlie, you lost your grandma.
no, my mother-in-law.
Oh, your mother-in-law. Oh man, sorry to hear that. It's I think we're all getting numb to death, and until but it's personal to everybody, you
Yeah,
know. Um, this is what makes it so hard for Dr. Akiona and I. We live with death all the time. When you have a pen and your pen signs death certificates, and those death certificates then are someone's mother or father or son or daughter, it, every stroke hurts you. Everyone hurts you. And I mean, so we live with it. And that's probably why you see that Dr. Akiona and I have been so intense with this, because it's not a rarity. It's just a regular occasion. And we have had so much unnecessary death in our state, in our country, and the world. And I've said this again and again. I've said this on my TV times. I've said this with you guys 1,000 times over on when we're talking about policy. If we can save a life, it's worth it, because that is somebody's family. It's their friends, it's their relatives, and every life matters. And so I'm very sorry to hear that, and sorry for everybody out there who really is who's felt this. I totally believe that there's a 1 degree of separation in COVID. Everybody has had someone that they've lost, and I would be very interested in how much everybody thinks that they've lost someone that didn't have to die. That's really one of the issues. So
Well, I think for those of us that have lost loved ones, I mean, I early on in the show, while I was waiting for you all to come on, I told Village that it was an emotional week last week, and I know my dad's watching, and I don't want to make him cry, but it was emotional because you lose someone that you've been with for half a century, or close to half a century, and then snap of your fingers, they're gone, and it doesn't matter what the doctors do or try to do. This son of a gun is tough to knock away. So, and that's why I get really disturbed when people talk about how mild or how less severe, and I repeat that as well on every show because it really does bother me. It bothers me a lot. It's like saying cancer is not severe. It's like saying any other deadly disease is not severe because so many people survive. I mean, it's to me it's heartless. I think it's just there's absolutely no compassion in those statements because the impact that it has on almost 1 million people in our country alone makes this not just a less than severe disease. This is a killer. And one of the things I want to talk about tonight, Doc, is everybody's relaxing everything. I saw Dr. DeWolf Miller on the news tonight, and he basically told everybody to be careful because we're in the middle of sets. Like if you were relating this to surfing, we are in between sets. In other words, there will be another surge. There will be another spike. It's just a matter of time, and we're seeing it happen throughout the world. As I am reading some of the posts, I kind of detached myself from COVID last week because I really wanted to spend some time with my dad and not read up on everything that was going on. So I am here to absorb tonight from you all. Tell me where are we at? What should we be looking for? And what do you guys think? Where do you think we're headed?
We are between sets. It is. I mean, it's just I've been trying to take breaks when we could too because everybody was saying, we gotta rest when you can. And then, I'm watching. We've been watching. Well, okay, so then there's war happening, and we know that. And then, but in Asia and Europe, it's been, the numbers are on the upswing again. And a lot of times, the reason why this always matters to us is because we tend to follow their patterns, a few weeks afterwards. And so, I think the takeaway that I saw, and so this is in the context of me being one of the few providers at the table for vaccinations, is, Department of Health and all the providers, they're getting ready for the funding to end at the end of this month. So in about a 2.5 weeks, the reimbursements are HIEMA and FEMA are done supplementing this, and so they're like packing up. And then this was with Dr. Miscovich and I were like, well, the babies haven't been vaccinated yet. Pfizer just said that we might need the 4th dose. There's still so much happening. And on my island, Puna and Kona still have a lot of need in terms of like the people who needed to get vaccinated. But by all kind of everything that I'm seeing is what you guys are seeing. So, we're getting reported to less. They're just basically saying, oh, we're all done. We're dropping everything off. Testing's going to fall off. There's no, I think the thing that we're seeing is we are all the experts are saying we're going to expect another bump probably within the next month or two. And, now would have been the time to kind of get that plan together. And I think that ultimately I'm watching a lot of the main players that you guys trust trying to scramble to get things together to get things in place. Where the maybe DOH and other people should have taken the lead on this. Where I hear parent groups getting together to kind of make a plan. BA2, what they're worried about is it's starting to take over in Asia and in Europe. They were saying it's about 10% when we're looking at the U.S. stuff, but once it reaches 50%, we can expect another big increases. But that's the anticipation, and they're projecting April, May. Could be sooner, I don't know. But and in the meantime, we're waiting on the data so that we can start vaccinating babies. So under 5 still not vaccinated. There's still the death. I mean, when you're looking at 1 million deaths, nearly 1 million deaths. What's the focus while we're having this lull for a lot of the service organizations was the impact that it had on family structures. So the impact of 1 million deaths and how many caregivers, how many parents and guardians have died, and how that is going to affect the next generation or two in terms of how just the familial multi-generational households and how things have been impacted, what the economic impact is for different households, and how it's I keep on saying, right, disproportionately felt by certain minority groups and vulnerable populations. And so the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders, people who don't have a lot of resources are feeling it worse. And so I've been noticing that a lot of the service organizations have been really kind of biting that on, just kind of taking on what the impact is for children, what we're expecting in terms of mental health stuff. And then I've been watching a few of the housing focus groups, kind of really focusing on the impact it's having on families and what it means for their well-being in the long runs. I think that's my really quick and dirty, like, what's been happening. Hi, Doc.
Thanks. Dr. Miscovich, BA2, what's
Okay.
going on with
Well,
BA2?
Okay, so bottom line is everything we've been predicting is exactly what we're still predicting, right? 100%. Nothing's changed. What are some of the things we've been talking about that are like inevitable? Number one, we will have another variant. Number two, we'll probably have two more variants. Been saying that for the last year. Been saying that from Delta, and then came Omicron. So for all these people that are sitting there, using the word normal drives me crazy. We are in the middle of a lull. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. The world is still in a pandemic. Don't use the word endemic. It's not endemic yet by any means. I've said this publicly to the world, to Hawaii, etc. We're probably past the midway point, but we still probably have upwards of 2 more years before we can really safely say that we're endemic. And even then, we don't know. We don't know for sure. I agree with Dr. Akiona that we will have another variant, and I think it could be a little later than what she's talking about right now. And but it might not be. Again, we don't know. What we have been successfully able to do is to map the spread across the world, and it's been very successful to watch Europe. And right now, guess what? Europe had the nice drop down with Omicron, and we're now in the last 10 to 14 days. Really significant surges starting to occur in different countries throughout Europe. I wish I could have given you guys the graph that I had posted I sent off to Dr. Dworkin and Tim Brown and the team that you guys know, because we still share 2-3 things a day. But there's a big surge that's happening. Why is the surge happening right now? Okay, everybody's heard this again. This group is experts. Okay, number one, as Dr. Akiona inferred, it is BA2 is definitely now taking over as the main variant. BA2 is 50% or so more contagious than BA1. Again, I hate this term, just like she said, like you guys said, we can't say, it's less lethal. No, it's, depends on where you are what depends on your lethality, and we'll talk about that. But here is the number one thing that everybody needs to understand. We've talked about it again and again and again, and it has got me so upset by all the political bodies, from our state to public to the CDC to federal government to states across the world. Waning immunity. 2 shots is not immunity. Okay? Can't say that enough. We've said this again. If you've had 2 shots and you have BA1 or BA2 or Deltacron looking out there, you got maybe 20% and down and going down for how much protection you have, right? Now, come on. You need to have, the whole world should be having at least 3 shots right now. And that's minimum. So now we're already past that. And as the CEO of Pfizer came out today, or yesterday it was, and 2 weeks ago, the CEO of Moderna came out, and I don't want to hear any of the garbage right now saying, they're just trying to sell vaccinations. No, they're not. They're not. I mean, congrats to Moderna. They're basically giving away their formula and their patent, and they're letting Kenya build a vaccine factory with their data, right? So this isn't right now about them just trying to fool everyone. So anybody who starts to say that, that's just not true. So waning immunity is huge. And messages I like to get to the listeners to please share out to your family. If you have a hint of immunosuppression, a hint of anything that you think could give you a slight decrease in the ability to fight this infection. So first of all, one of the biggies that's happening right now is with this bullshit that we keep getting out of CDC with these new little color codes, which are just pure political garbage. That they have turned it back over to you and your doctor. So you should go to your doctor, and we need to get our doctors in this state educated to know they have the right to tell their patient, I want you to get a fourth shot, or certainly go get their third shot. And right now, I am telling all of our patients over the age of 75, I don't care what your health is, go get a fourth shot, right? And it should be at 4 to 6 months after you've had your third shot, because they are at risk. They are at risk of the ones that could die. They are at risk due to the fact that we know there is some degree of immunosuppression, technically, which means their immune system doesn't make as much immune protection from a vaccine as someone that's 16 or 25 in good health, or 35. That's why there's more death in that age. So everybody that is over the age of 75. Now, if you go to Israel, I mean, I think they're doing a fourth shot for everybody over the age of 60. Hell yeah. And then please, there will be a quiz at the end of this show for everybody. You will get quiz and it will be graded. And Mel and Charlie are really tough graders, so just watch out. What are the other risk factors? All right. Well, we know weight. If you're significantly overweight, if you've been smoking for more than 20 years, right? If you are diabetic, if you have heart disease, and if you have high blood pressure, if you're on certain medications and combinations of medications, you have had anything where you've had recent cancers or current cancers, if you, God forbid, if you've been a organ transplant person and you haven't had, I'm ordering for my organ transplant patients probably upwards of every 3 months they're getting vaccinated, which is following standards. I'm not making this stuff up. This is following standards. So, yeah, 4 to 6 months, Melly, I see that question. So 4 to 6 months, we should be getting a new shot. So waning immunity will affect everyone, right? If BA2 starts to surge, what we're not talking about right now, when you look at the fact that, we're still only in the 60s of the percentage of Americans who have had 2 full shots, and then you look at the number of boosters, we're probably sitting around where maybe 30% of our country is adequately immune right now, right? So I don't know what to say. I mean, I could blabble on and on and on, but that's my whole point. Is we will have, almost for sure, we're going to have the next variant will be next winter season when we have holidays and things like that. So we got at least 2 more biggies coming around, and God forbid that something becomes more serious, because we still have the opportunity where we could have something that is worse than anything we've ever had. We don't know. We don't know. So anybody that tells you, oh, it's okay, it's over, well, each time it's going to get less virulent, they have no idea. No one knows, because right now the data is equally on the side that we will have at least 2 more variants. And if you take the best data that we know from 100 years ago to now, to what we know from 15 years ago to now, what we know from 2 years, there will be a more virulent variant, something that's more problematic, not less. There's still possibility it could be less, but there's much better chance, more than 50%, it will be worse. So just be safe. What can we say? Be safe. Okay, I'll stop, because I could take I could talk for days just and growl.
That's why I like you on, because then I can put the screen on you, and then I can kick back and drink my coffee and relax. There's a lot of questions coming up about the ports. People, you guys should consult with your primary care physician. I think our guests on the show, they come up, they give you general. We have general discussions about COVID, but as it relates to your specific condition or your concerns, please, please, please contact your primary care physician. And if you have a question, or if they're saying something that you think may not be right, then get a second opinion. But make sure you talk to your doctor, and because they know you more than Dr. Miscovich or Dr. Akiona, who has never met you yet. They will after the concert, but until then,
But Mel, I do want to say that one of the things I've been talking to Dr. Akiona about, because there's still such a massive disconnect when it comes to people understanding when it comes to the medical community understanding any of this, because a lot of the medical community hasn't dove in very deeply with this, and they'll shrug their shoulders and say, well, what's the CDC say? Well, the CDC has kind of checked out of this. They basically says, well, here, we have these fancy colors and we're going back to normal, and this is when you wear a mask and look to see what your color is and ask your doctor. So what we are probably going to do, and believe me, this isn't looking for business, is we're probably going to get an online call center that Dr. Akiona will be able to grab you and answer questions for our COVID hotline and help get you directed and things like that. I mean, we just want to continue to find a way to help. And I could have some of my people and my staff over here at Kaneohe, where we want to provide the right, accurate information. And with this whole telehealth thing, we could actually look at you and then actually, because a lot of people, over 35-40% of the people in the state really don't have a regular primary care doctor.
Yeah.
A lot of them use urgent cares for that. And that's not what urgent care is for. So we just want to find a way to help or steer you to the right person or do something. But the time is now, and we're done just sitting around waiting for the state or, to do anything valid. Because have they ever said anything like we've just been talking about? No, they're just they're
well,
out.
And I think that's the worrisome thing, because I'm still part of the vaccines, the conversations, and I mean, so in-home vaccinations, they're wrapping up, so they're cutting a lot of the services, but we're continuing. So I think maybe Project Vision on Oahu and us, that's about it. And I was trying to explain to them, like, actually now is probably the time when you should probably look at making sure that there's funding, because now where when everyone is starting to drop off, before I feel like PCPs could kind of toss them somewhere. Now, because there isn't any place, it all kind of falls back on them. There's going to be a lot more pukas in the continuum. So I was telling them, like, there's going to be a lot more people who might need the shot to do stuff. So like on our island, they needed the shot to go continue physical therapy, or they needed the shot post-stroke. They needed and there's literally no resources. And so like we're one of the few people just kind of maintaining our stock and going to people. And I think that's important. So when you go to see your doctor, and I saw somebody said that they got their 4th shot, and remember that's part of it, right? So you're getting your shot, you're social distancing, you're wearing your mask, you're doing all the things you're supposed to do. But if you're having a hard time getting, like, knowing where to go, or like, then that's what Doc is saying. We got to figure out a way to create a safety net, because he's right. I mean, what we learned over the last 2 years, kind of being everywhere, was that there are a lot of people who cannot access their regular primary care physician. And then there's a lot more people, more than that, who never even established with one, because there just wasn't anybody that they could get to. So it's that, I think that's what keeps us up at night, is just, now March 31st is the end of FEMA and all of the vaccine stuff. It disincentivizes it for everybody. So it disincentivizes a lot of the providers to continue their services. We can't stop because of primary care physicians, but we, I keep on telling the state, we got to figure out a way to continue funding, because this is jobs for people doing outreach and getting, nurses getting into homes and actually seeing patients, providing care. But beyond that, it's preventing death and hospitalizations. So if you guys want to make noise, that's what you guys should make noise about. Just stop how yet.
Well, it's quite evident that the funding, the fact that the federal funding was going to stop, it's not a coincidence that all of a sudden restrictions stopped, and the whole attitude and the messaging from our state here in Hawaii uh, was affected by the fact that the feds were going to stop sending the money, and that if the state was going to continue with any of these programs, they would have to fund them themselves, and that's something they did not want to do, and they don't want to do, even though they have $1 billion in supposed surplus going into the next fiscal year. So it's frustrating. I will say, while I was in Seattle, the advertising campaign on the TV was similar to here. But I think until the next surge, until the next spike, people are tired. People aren't going to go out and demand another shot. They have been told that pretty much by our state anyway that we're in the clear, and the actions of our state really promote that idea. So what's up with, like, if I wanted to get my next booster, can't I just go to CVS or any of the pharmacies and make an appointment and we'll get a booster, or do I need a doctor's appointment? A doctor's prescription.
Are you talking about a fourth shot or a third shot?
Well, for me, I took Johnson and Johnson, so they don't like needles, just like me, Doc. They don't like needles, man. They hear the word shot, they bark. No, for me, I had my Johnson and Johnson, and I got boosted with Moderna. In order to get another booster, do I need to get a doctor's prescription, or can I just roll up into like how I got my first booster? Just make an appointment online, show up, and get the shot.
It's all probably going to be yours. Well, you know this, Mel. You're special because you had Johnson and Johnson, and then you had Moderna, so you're a little bit out of sequence. So it's all probably going to come up to the pharmacist that you see, who see if they feel comfortable or not, and see it shouldn't be that way. That's my point. It should be black and white, right? It should be black and white. So from my perspective, should you get one? Yeah. When was your last shot, Mel? When was your Moderna?
Oh, why are you gonna? Jeez.
Yeah. Put you on the spot.
I actually forgot. Whenever I get a shot, because of my fear of needles, it just goes away.
So therefore,
it's probably November, I think. November.
Well, and they weren't tracking them, so because a lot of the times people that were getting some of their shots in CVS, we couldn't look them up in vans, and so sometimes it was like on your honor kind of thing. It's been pretty like alarming, because other people have told me they just walk in and get their other shot, and they're like one guy has told me that he is on his fourth one, and I was like, please don't like, please don't. He said he just walked in and nobody checked anything.
Yeah. So I completely concur. What you are getting is exactly what Dr. Akiona has just talked about. It's the Wild West. It depends who you see, where you go. Some place are probably, would throw you up the wall and say no, and some place would be like, yeah, whatever, you want a shot, come in tomorrow, we'll give you another one. It just depends on who's there and who's on at the time. And that's our point. It should not be that way. It should be a very defined. There should be an educational message going on right now, because what did I just say at length? Waning immunity is what's leading to the recurrent surge that's starting to happen in Europe, right? And besides with the other variants. So now we have this little window. We have an opportunity to prepare, right? So what are we going to do? There's no big public service message. There's no big educational message. And, we're going to wait. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to have the Pfizer or Omicron's going to come out. It's going to come out probably here in, I don't know, August or September. And guess what? The new variant's already going to have started no later than July.
Yeah.
So we're all going to be too late, right? Instead of trying to be educating people and start to push and get people now, because guess what? We have so damn much vaccine right now just sitting around in fridges that's doing nothing. We should be getting people ready right now. We should getting people ready. But you know what? We're not going to do it at the state level. And we're not going to do it at the CDC level. We're going to sit around. We're going to talk about it. My God, it's a political year. It's an election year. So
Yeah, well, again, the focus because of the election year was to open up,
Yeah.
right? Nationwide, it was to open up and convince the people that it was extremely safe now. But this is the reality, in my opinion, is that you have a segment of the community that will not get vaccinated. They just won't. And it doesn't matter how fancy your commercials or how big the bribes, there's a segment of the community that's not going to get vaccinated. If they haven't gotten vaccinated by now,
get your meal
unless something major happens in their life, they're not going to get vaccinated. Then you have another segment of the community that got their first Johnson and Johnson or the two Modernas or Pfizer's, and their immunity. It's been a while since they got their shot, so their immunity has waned. And then you got the third segment, which maybe had a booster or will get boosters. But I think when you look at the whole picture, I don't see a major change in mindset for people to go out and get vaccinated or boosted. I think, and again, because of the messaging that is coming out from the state, you're making people believe that it's safe to go out. And while it can be, right, if you take the proper precautions, it can be. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people have basically said, I'm over it. I'm done with this COVID nonsense. And I'm just gonna go back to normal. If I get it, I get it. Most people survive. I'm gonna get it. And that's what I'm seeing now.
Yeah. There's the fourth segment of the population, or the other segment, which is the ones who are getting boosted, kind of exactly when they can. And so there's one, she said she'll be ready for her fifth dose, in 5 months or so. And so there's the ones that are hyper, they're very, very much on it. I would say so. We've been able to get a few more. So I also felt like everything's been saturated. So as time went on, some of my essential workers, they actually, initially when the work mandates came out, when the vaccine mandates came out, there was a lot of reluctant vaccinators, right? So they're like, well, I got to do this to keep my job, and they're really pissed about it, but they did it. And then more recently, there was a few more that were first time. So we're boosting them. We're doing the first and second doses. And, for the Rural Health Association, we've been asking them, like, why now? Why are you getting your shot now? And a lot of them kind of they said, I guess I waited long enough. And people are on their lap. They lapped me 3 times already. And so, they're like, I guess more better I do them now. And so I did get a bunch that were, it would be like 2 a day. So it wasn't a lot, but it was something. And then I just wanted to comment because I saw Scotty's question. So if you got Omicron and you were, because a mixture of some getting sick and actually getting vaccinated it actually gives you some immunity. So I'm wondering, Doc, would you recommend he get boosted as well? Because he's saying 6 months post Moderna and got the Omicron, because those are the people who are actually the most safe, would be the people who are boosted and actually were able to get that mild, you got exposed to Omicron. And so you actually are I don't know if we should say super.
Well, I can answer it. Scotty's had 3 shots and he had Omicron, right? So those people right now, if you have a healthy immune system, are like the most, immune out there. When you've had 3 shots and you've had the disease, especially Omicron, because obviously we know how different that variant was, you really, really have a lot of immunity. Now, would I wait? Would I get another shot? Scotty, yes, but I would probably look at about the 4 to 6 months after you had your Omicron. All right. And then for you, again, if you look at the timing where we are, March, you're probably going to be perfect for when we have what we call, they're starting to call it so everybody can understand the language, because we like to try to teach you. They're starting to talk about a bivalent vaccine. Hey, by the way, my wife is not mad at me. I'm reading this stuff. My son just came back. My son's doing trauma surgery rotation down at Queens, and he just finished his 12-hour shift, and he's over there trying to get his there he is. He's getting his dinner over there as he's hungry after a 12. So no, definitely not my wife. Yeah, if my wife was was mad at me, you would know. So it wouldn't be a few dishes clanking. but the bivalence is saying that they're going to have a vaccine that's going to have more than one, in this case two, for uh, um, additives in it. So it's going to be an Omicron specific plus a generalized vaccine. So expect that coming forward to everyone. I've said this on the show before, that the mRNA technology is so incredible. You can put 40, 41, 42 different things in that at the same time. We could put one of everything, and a lot of what we're looking at right now, a lot of the advanced science that's going on right now is taking AI and basically trying to study and predict what are all the mathematical variants that could be occurring that we wouldn't. And they're trying to make a polyvalent vaccine where multiple little anticipated potential spikes may be put into it, so that if you really get a good one, then then you're kind of prepared, unless it's way off the wall. So that's just a little bit of the vaccine science. I've said this before, I'll say it again. We will get another vaccine this year, and you will be offered another vaccine next year. So we are not done getting vaccines. We may be getting more than one vaccine a year, but you will definitely be getting an offer of another vaccine in kind of late summer, fall. And the likelihood is the following late summer, fall, you will have another opportunity to have another one. That's.
I hope it'll be a nasal vaccine.
No, it's definitely going to be rectal. So can't do anything about it. So,
for some people, their head is in their butt, so it'll be the same.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they'll room. Yeah. So, yeah, no, there is work going on with nasal, but Mel, right now, most of the science in the nasal is talking that the nasal is only going to maybe protect your mucosa and give you a type of a benefit of blocking that nasal part of the infection. Because remember, a lot of times people were wondering, like, why isn't this working? Well, part of it is that, remember, it gets up into your nose. Your nose is wide open. It's got no vaccine in it in the mucosa there. And then the vaccine has to penetrate. Then the immune response comes. So if you could put something in your nose that puts a layer of protection in that very superficial mucosa, then it could stop it from even entering your body, so that the immune system then doesn't have to be activated to come after. So that's what the nasal stuff is. And now, could it eventually be enough to give us a longer term immunity? Yeah, I'm a little, possibly not, because COVID's so damn complicated, with the way the spike works and things like that. So,
Doc, what about the pill, the Pfizer pill? Even in Seattle, the commercials on TV were talking about the COVID pill, the importance of the 5-day, getting the pill within 5 days. Is that readily available here in Hawaii right now?
It's so available, but do you hear anything happening where anybody is like, should be on every channel and every social media and every news station, and everything should be like, hey, we finally got caught up with supply. We got so much of this now sitting on the shelf. If you ever get COVID and you have any risks, get it. Go get it. Get your pill. Talk to your doctor. Find a way to get your pill. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, Mel.
Okay.
But has anybody been hearing about it?
The commercial played quite a bit in the mainland. I just have not seen one here yet. But then again, I was gone for a week, so I don't know if. But that is available for those that are basically experiencing the onset symptoms, but they got to get that pill in their body within 5 days, correct?
Yeah, that's the best time to get it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think I saw that there was someone was asking about the age right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah, the
Um,
minimum for the pill.
Um, that's actually a very timely question because I know right now one of the things I was reading and I've been following and tracking is that that Pfizer's in the middle of an open trial um, for um, for
It's 12.
the 6 to 17-year-old age group, right?
Mhm.
So I think right now, and
I thought
Dr.
it
Akiona,
was 12, and it's still
yeah.
that 85-pound weight limit. I think it's
Yeah,
still
it's
4.
it's 85-pound weight limit, but right now they've gone through phase 1, they're going into a phase 2, 3 combined for the 6 to 17-year-olds, and so right now we're mostly looking at the weight limit is what we're using for the indications, right? And so bottom line is what it's still technically indicated for is someone if you have risk. Okay, but here we go again. We've done such a horrible job of teaching people what the risks are that I guarantee you there are people who are getting COVID right now and their shirt's fitting them too tight and they may be pre-diabetic and not even know it. And they might not realize that if they actually had a doctor look at them, the doc would be like, hey, you are really at risk, because people just don't understand. And again, smoking's another one. If you've been smoking for a while, and even if you transition to vape, but you've been hitting your lungs and you have a 20-pack year history, you're bad asthmatic. So.
Yeah. And actually, a lot of times where we live, how limited our resources are, because it's been interesting listening to a bunch of organizations and legislators. They like to cite like these social determinants of health and all this stuff that makes us high risk when they can get grants, but it's the same, it feeds into the same issues when it comes to like hospitalizations and you're like how well you're gonna do if you were to get sick, like the same illness course of trajectory if you're in a like where I was in Pittsburgh, where there were multiple hospitals in a small area versus like the Big Island where you got one. The course of your disease, it's a lot different when you have less resources, and so like that's why it matters so much that we have good access to these things, because we don't have an equal amount of the next layer of protection should you need that hospitalization or should you need to be seen by somebody that emergently in the ER. We just have such limited resources on the outer islands. So I think the good old that good feeling of frustration is back.
Selena said 12-year-old with asthma and history of pneumonia was not offered any treatment, and the doctor was notified on the day a positive home test was done. I guess that's something we probably got to work with the Department of Health and make sure that they get that word out, because it's just not getting out. I don't think anyone. I was still under the impression that these pills weren't available and they were very limited, but that's something that they got to do. Doc, real quick clarification. The home test, I saw this question pop up a couple of times. The home test cannot detect a variant, right? It only detects active COVID. And unless you get it genetically sequenced, we will not know the variant. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, no, those home tests, even a regular PCR, will not tell you what you have. There's an outside chance we might have an early indication of what you might have if you get it done at the right lab with the right machines. But right now, the bottom line I would tell everybody is antigen tests, home tests, PCRs, lab tests, ER tests, you will not know what your variant is. Nothing.
No.
Our state is kind of behind the 8 ball in doing anything to make it happen for broad scale.
We can request it. I know. Yeah, but you gotta, even I have to specify it, because I think you remember I was telling you the default for clinical labs is actually TMA, So actually, in order for me to like, if I'm thinking I'm gonna head that way, I have to actually write on the requisition, please run on the Roche, because otherwise it's like they basically I have to, if I had ordered it and I didn't know that if they had already run it, then it's another order. So just so you know, their default is TMA. It's not the Roche. You got to let them know.
Yeah. And with the test numbers decreasing statewide, with testing clinics reducing hours or shutting down altogether, with most people right now, I think just relying on the home tests that do not get tracked by the Department of Health and will not get sequenced, we, it's really hard to tell what the real number of viruses out there. Everybody knows weekly numbers. Kauai just announced today too that they're going to stop doing their daily reports. It's going to be weekly, just like the state.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how the sequencing, if they're still doing. I know at one time it was 75 a week, but again, we're not testing the numbers that we were testing a few months ago. So I think a lot of people are testing positive at home.
Yeah.
They call their doctor. Doctor said, take Tylenol, relax, isolate, do your thing, and the Department of Health never gets a count of those numbers.
Yeah. That's the worrisome part. And Marie, I think so. I wouldn't get too hung up on that. She's saying, can they detect BA2? So the whole stealth variant thing is a little bit different. It had to do with that gene, that specific portion on it that was made it easier to detect BA1. So your home tests are still detecting COVID. It's not an issue at this point. I think there were specific tests that were maybe found to be less effective, and so as long as there hasn't been like an EUA or FDA issued like callback, your tests are okay. Is that right, Bach?
Yep.
Well, let me ask you folks something here. So, if if someone was to have a test kit that could detect what they had, it
It's not
shouldn't
out there.
matter. You got COVID. You got COVID. Plain and simple. Whether you got a serious one or a mild one, because I think what people are keying in on, if I know I don't have the really bad one, then I can go off and goof off. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
They go and
just
goof off.
doesn't matter.
I mean, what they should do is they should knock it, square in the face and say, whether you got it, then hey, keep yourself safe. Keep yourself away from other people who may be susceptible. I think that's what should be. Everybody's asking, and I get it. They want to know, can you detect this? Can you detect that? What I wanted to touch on, because I deal with this every day. For the people out there that's watching this right now, I'm going to ask all of you a favor. There's some of you that come to the airport and you want to challenge the system because you don't believe in the mask mandate or whatever. My thing to you is, please just behave and get to your destination safely. Because if not, you're going to get arrested, because we've been doing it several times now. And the sad thing about it is we arrest you under the federal guidelines. So that means that you get placed, possibly, if TSA gets involved, you get placed on a no-fly list. You're going to have to find other modes of transportation to get to the mainland. You will not be let on a plane, plain and simple. And I just, people get frustrated. They kind of push the luck. They go after flight crews, and it's all because of not wanting to, at least for the next couple of hours, just be safe and keep your mask on. They're challenging the system so many times. And what I find out too is, like, some of the individuals that we do encounter, you tell them, settle down, everything's gonna be okay. But when you say things that you cannot take back, that's what's gonna launch you to the next level of severity that you gotta deal with the law enforcement officials, and that's us. And so I've been finding out that people that have been vaccinated, they're the ones that want to travel without putting on their mask. They're the ones that wants that extra privilege when they get on the plane. They're the ones that don't want to follow what the flight crew is asking them. And they're yelling at the top of their lungs. And some of them get so emotional that they say something and they use certain words that are triggered to say, up until this point, you would get just a slap on the hand. No, you're going under the federal guidelines, and it's not going to be pretty. So it comes in a form of many different things. So I just wanted to put it out there for the viewers. If you know somebody that thinks that they're going to get on a plane and start acting up, just tell them, get to your destination safely. Once you get off the plane, you can do whatever you want to do. But while you're in that airport, while you're getting on that plane, you're going to be in a pretty confined space for X number of minutes or hours, depending on how long your flight is. Just listen to what the flight crew is saying, and don't give them a hard time. That's my message to the people, yeah. Especially to those who are vaccinated, because the ones we get a hard time with are the ones that are vaccinated, because they're throwing it right back in our face. They say, "Hey, they got nothing to worry about," and we gotta warn them, say, "Brother, sister, what about the person next to you who may not be vaccinated? That's why they get the mask on, and you can be riding with them for the next couple hours. Come on." All we ask is for a little cooperation just for that period of time. And you can act like a goofball and go stand at the highest building and run around buck naked up there you want. That's up to you. But for that period of time, just be sensible. That's all I ask.
You know, my my brother came back from Seattle on Thursday, and he came on Delta. You know, the Delta, they don't even check QR codes, nothing. There's no wristbands. Everybody just boards the plane. I came back. Me and my sister came back on Alaska, and they do the whole thing. I was so amazed. My sister and I were laughing because so many of these people in the holding area, when they made the announcement about the QR codes, had no idea that a QR code was required. Had no idea they had to put in for a quarantine exemption or a vaccine exemption or whatever. They had no clue, and it was just fun to watch these people get upset because they don't think they have to do it. And I gotta give those employees credit. They handle it so well. They work with these people to get the app downloaded and all of that stuff. But I just surprised that people would get on a plane, plan a trip to Hawaii, and not check the requirements. These guys are knuckleheads. And then when we got on the plane, across the aisle, one row up from me, of course, you get that clown who not wearing his mask. So the flight attendant came up, female flight attendant came up and said, "Sir, you need to put on your mask." She started to gibber a little bit, and then she told him, "Sir, put on your mask or you will be escorted off the plane. And the mask needs to stay on for the duration of the flight." And he got very upset. I was thinking, perfect. We're going to have an opportunity to tie strap this jackass to the plane and make national news. And I was going to videotape the whole thing on my phone and make him famous. But no, he decided to put on his mask, and he actually wore his mask throughout the whole flight. I was kind of surprised, but it's amazing how people still do. And for me, it's about respect for others. Yeah, for that person that's sitting next to you in a plane, for that person that's sitting in front of you on the plane, just wear the damn mask or drive. And if you cannot drive to Hawaii, then stay your ass at home. That's my message.
Yeah. This is
Just
it's sad.
incredible.
But
It's a
yeah,
locus of control thing. They just it's I mean, you're watching people not like have behave like toddlers a little bit because they feel like so many things are out of their control. Because people act like this in doctors' offices because a lot of times they're not feeling their best already, and then like especially when I take care of them in the hospital, they're just not at their best, and I know that, and now we're seeing this in like at a global scale, right? So they feel like a lot of things they're being made to do. They don't have control over this, so then they just flip out. It's kind of crazy, and just like it's a control thing. Just
hey, Doc Miscovich, let me
Yes.
ask you if are there special therapies for different type of infections that arise from COVID?
Are there different therapies for
Like say,
specific what?
if you just get the standard Delta as opposed to the Omicron, or just
oh
everything is pretty much standardized across the industry. The
well, didn't
medicine.
the monoclonal kind of stopped working? I mean, they really took that out of our tool belt for Omicron. I remember that. Even though
Mhm.
we still, to a certain extent, had some Delta circulating, we don't have really great data to tell you exactly what you have all the time. But a lot of the, what we treat oftentimes are the subsequent issues. So you take that hit, and then it'll be like, now you got a lung infection. is it pneumonia or something like that, and then that'll be tailored based on what your body is kind of like secondary infections and all the other stuff that happens because of it. But yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Go ahead, Miss.
No. The reason I asked is I was corrected by one of the viewers when I said, he said, well, people wanna know what they got because that will, I guess, help them with the therapy.
Yeah.
So, but
Yes.
I'm
No.
thinking like you. Subsequently, if I get hard time breathing, you will treat me for that.
We're gonna treat, yeah.
Wait, basically the only issue is Dr. Akiona alluded to is the monoclonal antibody, because the effectiveness of our original go-to was Regeneron, and then Omicron it just dropped. It was just worthless. So and then you have the longer term Evusheld and Sotrovimab, so it's only about the monoclonals. So far, the good news is, if I have one message that I want to make, a global message, is Paxlovid, the pill, has maintained its efficacy. So really, if there's one guarantee, because it's a 5-day prescription, it's taken twice a day for 5 days. If you got anybody even has a hint of risks, you should be seeking that out, right? Because it should be readily available on every island now, anywhere it should be available. So at this stage, no, Charlie. In the future, who knows? Once again, anybody says they know, they're lying. Nobody knows what's going to be. So someone asked me about masks being dropped on airplanes or something.
I think you wanted to talk about.
If you had a prediction, I know they just extended it for the federal extension, but any idea?
It's going to be. I think it's going to be quite a while. The one thing I can tell everybody is that we are already saying, oh no, looking at Europe, right? You can go and you can look at the data now and look at these data on countries that have better vaccination rates and better booster rates than us, right? And have also had a reasonable high amount of disease that had spread through the country, right? Have good healthcare systems, and they're on the way back up, and it's fairly sharp over the last 10 to 14 days. So when you see that happening in parallel equivalent civilized areas, that's exactly what, we should eventually go back and play all the reruns of all the great shows we've all had and all the other guests you guys have had, because I'll tell you, we've predicted everything, and it's predictable, just like it is right now. Right there, everybody start watching it, because then what you're going to see, where you really start to need to get worried, is boom, probably see it East Coast first, probably see it New York, suburban New York, Boston, Washington, probably could be popping over to LA. And that's what happened with Omicron. And that's why then it came to Hawaii. Since everybody's coming to Hawaii, that's why we were so early in the Omicron bandwagon. And then look at the other thing that's going on. Hong Kong, devastating. China, surging. South Korea, Singapore. These places that were just the places we all studied from to say, how do you do it perfectly? They can't stop it. And Hawaii, we got planes coming from both sides. Yeah. So we're teed up to have more disease and surges coming here. So don't throw your masks away.
We got to remember, and the trends don't lie, right? The trends are trends. That's why they call it trends, because there's a good indication of where we're going to be here based on the trends of the last two surges, the big ones. Those surges hit us hard while we had restrictions in place. This next surge that comes will be at a time where there will be no restrictions or very little restrictions. The question is, will our government have the balls when we start to see the spread hit the East Coast? Will we take action to prevent the surge from starting in Hawaii to begin with?
Okay.
I say they won't.
I'm going to,
Yeah.
how about I'll take my no to go from side to side of the screen
Yeah.
because I can't shake my head that far. This is the same thing. Every indication is no, 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 no. Because what are we going to do? We are going to do exactly, I guarantee you what we're going to do. Every island, every mayor is going to do falling behind the red, yellow, green, worthless political CDC recommendation, right? And Tim, I think, was on the show, Tim Brown, and he has done all the data analytics on it, and we all just are shaking our head because by the time Hawaii gets to a point where we have to do something, we're already over 100 hospitalizations. Another point, we're already over 200 hospitalizations. Those colors don't mean anything for our state or each individual island. They're just pathetic. If we wait, and for a fact that our politicians, because the governor's checked out, he's not going to do anything, that everybody's going to just kind of use the CDC data, which is way too late.
Yeah. You said like a shield and a sword, right? When they need it, it's a sword, and when they need it, it's a shield, and they're just going to hide. Yep. And I think that's the hardest part.
And they'll blame it on CDC, and then
so let's look at. I think if I'm correct, we had 2 to 3 cycles, and you've come on this show, and every single time you've given us warnings about what's happening, what's coming down the pipe, and then it happened, and everybody in government went, oh, duh. And,
well,
you're giving us this warning now, and it doesn't seem, because like for Mel and I being in a police department, we know that when we have an impending storm that looks like we're going to have to do an evacuation, we all gear up and we start loading up the truck. We start loading up all the emergency equipment because we know we're going to be in for a long haul, right? I see nothing from this state that would indicate anybody getting anything ready.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm worried about.
No, that's because like with the Kim administration, we were surrounded by the emergency folks, right? So the people, and I think at the time we were also, we were worried about the earthquakes and the volcano, and there's a bunch of other stuff. But so those guys, the retired guys, are kind of sitting there like, and it's, I know it probably bothers them more than they let it show to me. But it's just kind of like, what is going on? It's like, this is very clearly the time when you're supposed to have an actual tier system in place. So, if this many tests, positivity rates are this, or if there's this many cases, or if hospitalizations are reaching this, the if then really needed to be clarified at this moment. And, and having like the testing of all of our systems, our communication systems, because it's very clear that at least on the Big Island, things haven't been going well. So, we had like what is it called, a rogue alarm at some point recently, and they kind of took that apart and were like, how come nobody got notified for this rogue alarm? And then we also had a mini tsunami, the little bit of the tsunami, and then how that didn't play out very well either. And so I'm like, in these very small cases, already bad, and we're anticipating more badness, and so it's scary. Just
I want to comment on a couple, and I want to just say amen to Muriel. She said about it's not fair to the healthcare workers that are in the hospitals that are just getting destroyed, and no one thinks about them. And she's so right. The first responders too. As we have on Oahu, ambulances broken down, they're working, and then I've said it before, and someone said it about 15 minutes ago in comments. What about the poor hospitality workers, hotel workers, people working at the airports? They're freaking right in the front lines of this. And but yet everybody is like, oh yeah, no, let's keep everything wide open, we'll wait too long. Back to that waiting too long, I want to make a comment to make sure everybody understands this. We've said this before, and it goes back to that shield and sword analogy. We talked about this on this show. I'm going to give two analogies. The federal government made a federal law that says you must wear a mask on an airplane, right? And you must wear it within a federal facility, right? That's a law. You break it, you're on the no-fly. Now the penalties are going on. You can get arrested. You can get all that. Okay. The CDC makes a guideline on green, yellow, red. Guess what? That is a guideline.
Guideline.
It is not a law, right? A state, a county can say, hey, CDC, we're going to do it a little more strict. We want to do it our way. Thanks for the advice. Thanks for the recommendations, but we want to do it this way. And guess what? They're allowed to. CDC is an advisory body. If they come out with something that it has to go through a whole nother channel to become a law. So I've seen it again and again and again and again, cut and paste departments of health, cities, counties that use what they want to protect themselves from CDC, and then otherwise they ignore it when they've done something wrong. Oh, well, so just wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the governor made it, the mask mandate for schools. The governor has an opportunity to deviate and do what he wants. Exactly what you said.
Yeah.
The other, we got that Ukraine war going on, right? That a lot of people are fleeing and they're ending up all over the world. A lot of those guys may have COVID. No one's getting tested before they go into new areas. The other thing I saw on one of the news on the travel network was I saw that a lot of people that were originally scheduled to go to Europe for vacation are changing their reservations now. A lot of them are coming here.
Yeah.
To Hawaii because the instability of Europe. So we are in for some rough times, I think. And it's like the perfect storm because you have all these people that are fleeing Ukraine. No one knows anything about them. They're ending up in our states. They're ending up in Hawaii. So I think the timing to remove all restrictions, especially the unsafe travel program, to me that should have stayed in place until we are really in the clear, which is every expert I've heard just today. Again, DeWolf Miller, Dr. Tim Brown, both of you, the Workin, all of the experts have said, be careful because we are not done.
Yeah.
And the state has ignored it, and they are moving forward with the original plan. And Josh Green, his whole focus right now is getting all the union endorsements, and he's doing that by being the champion for people's rights. And it's going to backfire because I cannot see how we are going to avoid another surge. And to pull back the horses once you let them out of the barn is tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, and we're just going to have to wait and see how that works out.
Hey, Mel, the only analogy I get to what you just said is like going on a cruise, but the captain takes away all the life vests and safety boots, and they send you around the Horn, the Cape, and you know how rough it gets out there, right? So you take your chance, but I think we got some pretty Akamai people that watch this show, as well as our two esteemed guests joining us tonight. They know what it's all about, and I just wish more people, because like I deal with these numbers every single day. I stand at the curbside and I'm watching and I'm counting. I mean, the numbers has just grown exponentially. And how you can tell is when they have no parking left.
Yeah.
How you can tell, they open all three checkpoints.
Mm-hmm.
How you can tell, people are getting frustrated because the lines are so long. And how you can tell is simple things like, oh, you gotta call housekeeping, you gotta put new paper towels in the women's bathroom. That's how you can tell you a lot of people coming through the airport.
Yeah. Well, and I think first of all, I was definitely happy to see your Skittles because I was gonna ask where the Snickers were. And the second thing was the Ukraine situation. So people, it's been coming up in the physician chats, and then they were saying that there actually are they're trying not to put the focus on COVID right now, but there are, like, most of the checkpoints as people are getting intake, they're actually the European Union is really stressing kind of doing like a check, so that, you know, a health check. So I mean, because a lot of people are like, oh my God, there's going to be a lot of issues, but right now the humanitarian issue is such that they're like trying not to, you know, you don't want to make that the issue at the point. So I was like, okay. I think the third thing he kept coming up was the wastewater thing. You guys are completely right. The CDC has been showing that like more than 40% of all of the sites that they're keeping track of, the viral load has been going up across America. So I mean, you know, we already, that was like an indication that we're in a bad situation. And then one thing that I wanted to mention is that you know, we've been embedded for 2 years with the shelters. So that was kind of it was strategic for us because we want to take care of them. And then we've always been working with, like, you know, schools and stuff. But one of the more recent things is we're in with at hotels, and the real reason is because of the hospitality workers. And so the nice thing is, you know, we're aware when we're 98% full. Like it's kind of a nice thing as a primary care doc, because then I can hear the risk for the community really does depend on when Uncle Charlie is seeing that he has to call housekeeping, that people are using more resources, and then on our end, you know, the general manager will say we're booked 100% through the end of the month, and you know, just because for me right now we've stopped requiring testing for the unvaccinated, and then, you know, it's just how do you support them, right? So like knowing that these are essential workers and they're basically propping up our economy by showing up to work, and if they don't show up to work, then a lot of things stop. So it's you know, just so you guys know, we're still there. We're trying to figure it out because, again, there's no shield. Well, the CDC isn't a law. You know, those are guidelines, and people are not. We're not being protected well by our government. So, you know, it comes down to us doing stuff like this. Why are you smiling? He's smiling about something. Do you have Skittles or Snickers?
Oh no, I'm reading the comments. Marlene's saying I look tired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You look so tired. I don't know. The 4 a.m. Waking this is kind of like bedtime for me for sure. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
HT.
I'm 8:30, and I'm up at 4:30 dealing with all of our mainland activities and even international. So,
Well, I appreciate you guys. We're 20 minutes overtime. I can't afford to pay you guys the overtime rate that you guys charge, so we're gonna have to start to wrap this up.
wait a second. Yeah, I was gonna say, save me the red Skittles, the strawberry Skittles. That's all that's what I would take. That's my favorite, the red. So save me the red. Yeah, you're purple. I'm red. I like the red ones. And then wait.
I will go on the record that I am colorblind, so I'll taste it first, and if it tastes like
Well,
okay, and then I'm going to end it with some really, I hate to be really, really serious at the end, but I've been waiting to ask Mel about this because this is like really important stuff. What do you think about our
Mitch Trubisky?
Yeah, what do you think about our free agency potential signing tomorrow that's supposed to happen?
I was kind of surprised and shocked, seriously, because there's a lot of options out there, but you know, Trubisky will fit good in the offensive scheme. I think he's not a bad quarterback. I just think there were many more options. We'll see. Mariota's still looking for a place. I was hoping Mariota would go to the Steelers. But
I was too, but I still think Pittsburgh's probably going to draft another quarterback.
Well, they're going to have to. They're going to have to. The other thing too, did you see the Dolphins signed? They signed another quarterback today for a 1-year contract. So it looks like Tua might be.
Oh no.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. Son of a gun. Yeah, but anyway.
Okay.
Gosh, who was it?
Yeah, this is important.
I'm sure one of our villagers will 14.5 million for 2 years. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, he'll be okay. He'll be okay.
Oh yeah, Teddy Bridgewater.
Is that who signed?
Bridgewater signed with the Dolphins.
Wow.
Wilson and
Well, I think that was the reason they got rid of the head coach to begin with, because they wanted to make a big quarterback change. So we'll see how it goes. I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. I just hope we have a season next year. We can compete. We can get in the playoffs and win our next Super Bowl. You see, Brady unretired himself. How's that?
Yeah.
You know what though? Because this is when, right? This is when they're preparing like for spring training. I mean, everybody's getting hyped for their off season, and then I remember this is when all of the old timers getting ready to like go. Yeah, so it's probably weighing on him, right? It's like this is like muscle memory.
No, man, it's the price of gas. It's the price of gas. You have to go back to work. You have to go back to work.
Well, Stephen Colbert
Actually,
said he tried to help his kids with math one time, and he was like, "Screw this! I'm gonna go get tackled by the big guys again."
he actually thought he was gonna golf. He was gonna be a pro golfer, and then he realized he can't golf to save his
Oh,
soul. He's decent, but he ain't no pro golfer. So he's gonna go back, and we will see.
Hey, brother, you talk
Well,
about the gas prices, right? Real quickly to our friends out there. I just love when people say, okay, I'm going to fill up every day because I just got to put a little bit in so the price looks small. But at the end of the week, if you add them up, it would have been just like you put a full tank of gas. So it's all a psychological play at that point. Because the
yeah,
bottom line is check your bank account, that debit card, yep, minus a whole tank of gas. That's what it ended up at the end of the week.
yeah, it's crazy. Anyway,
And then on top of that, I get people complaining. They go, oh, I went to the rental car. I got an EV car. But nobody tell us it's island. Nobody much charging stations. So I tell them, I told you, get the car that can use Duracell 9-volt batteries. Just go to the store, buy one, pop them in. Get you to your next destination.
we'll get a long, 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 long extension
extension
cord, bro.
cord.
Long extension cord.
Manos rent
Anyway,
a car. Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
please.
all right. Closing thoughts, Dr. Akiona. Any closing thoughts before we head out?
Closing thoughts. Closing thoughts. Oh man. So I think we have a little bit more time. We can rest a little while longer. But I'm glad to see that people are aware that we're not done with things. I think I'll say the same thing that I've said before, which is I think it's okay to be tired and it's okay to like be frustrated. But I think the reality is, we're talking a lot about war now because I have a 11-year-old, and we're talking about there's generations above us that have lived through this, and so they've gone through they had to go through like drills because they were prepared. So they lived in either having survived awful things or being prepared for awful things to happen, and now we're watching it on TV, right? And so then it's just like a different kind of awful, and and to a certain extent the idea that it's over there so it's not really a big deal. But with our kids we've been talking about how not where the world it's a big place, but we're so interconnected that something that happens there, it impacts us. And so I think just one of the biggest things that the psychologists and psychiatrists have been telling us is you know our kids are watching us learn how to deal with our own emotions in real time. And the best thing we can do is be honest with them, right? So like when I get upset or when I messed up, being able to talk to them about that. It's the same no matter how old your kid is. So if your kid is 40, you can still talk to them about this, right? So we're frustrated, we're tired, there's a lot of things that feel like it's out of our control. One of the most important things is just identifying, just like understanding that you're not alone. um, I used to think, well, the whole like it could be worse kind of thing should, but no, don't think like that. Ultimately, it's okay. If you have kids, to talk to them about this because it's we're all learning, right? So we all had to learn mental health techniques. We had to learn how to adjust some of our cultural practices to still feel connected. It's been 2 years, and I think we've come a long way. And I think that a lot of people, you guys know more than you believe. So it's just kind of when your eyes are telling you that what your ears, what they're telling you doesn't make sense, you're probably right. And you can come places like this, find your anchors or find your safe spaces to kind of talk it out and listen and learn. Um, and I think the best thing you can do is then help your family, talk to your family, talk to your kids, talk to, again, no matter how old your kids are. I'm 40. I'm with my parents right now. It's just kind of what the next steps are. We're not done. I usually try to remind my dad. My dad is immune suppressed, so it's kind of he to us he's Superman, but then we have to remind ourselves, yeah, that he's of our circle, he's the vulnerable one. And so like all the things that we do, we have to remember that even though we think of my dad as like always going to be there, I've counseled a lot of people through some really tough situations, loss of family members, and I don't want that to happen if it's at all avoidable. It feels sad that we're on our own, and you're actually we're on our own, and that we have to take personal responsibility and kind of do a lot of things on our own. But you're not alone. You have a lot of people around you. You can look to your left and right when you come to these shows, and you can see all the people who are behind you. So that's what I have to say. We're not done yet. Even though it seems bleak, just don't forget that you're allowed to feel frustrated. You're allowed to feel just overwhelmed. Just sit in it for a little bit. But when you're done, put your mask on, wash your hands. Don't be a jerk when you're traveling, because I don't need you guys, anybody stressing out Uncle Charlie, because we need these guys around for a long time. And just try to be kind to yourselves and to each other. And come see us on Wednesday when we talk about safer schools, I think.
All right, let's go.
Wow, Dr. Akiona said something so important. I'm just going to reiterate. Talk to your kids about this. Be honest. Honesty. And that's both COVID and the war. That's so important, to really just be honest, and you don't want to give them extra fear or anything like that, but just, and amongst ourselves, because this affects us, affects everyone, depending on your age and depending on where you're from, and why we're in a special place with what a melting pot we are. So she covered that outstanding, and I want to echo, way to go. I want to bring something else up that I said before, and I'm going to say it again. We're entering the political season, and please be involved with democracy and use your vote and hold everyone accountable that is sitting there asking for your vote. We just went through, let's face it, in our lifetime, from a healthcare perspective, from a pandemic, look at that, more people died than all the wars. Think about this. All of the wars in the history of the United States of America, from the Civil War on, we are right about at the point where more Americans have died than all of them combined. Okay. That's incredible, right? It's just unbelievable. Hold these elected officials to know what their job is. They're going to be sitting there asking you for your vote, and they're going to make up little twilly things right now that act like they did something. No, hold them accountable. And so I would, if I had an elected official sitting in front of me, I would be looking there and saying, can you say you're sorry before we start to your constituents that you didn't do anything and you failed to create any consensus and you let everything go, right? So that's, how about some apologies, right? Never got it from anybody, right? Now, moving forward, what are they going to do? What are they going to do to protect you from the future variants or the next pandemic, right? What are they going to do when it comes to what we've been talking? And what's their accountability? You're going to get all these talking points. They're going to talk global warming. Great, yeah, of course we all care about global warming, right? And they're going to talk, I'm going to do something about affordable housing. Why haven't you done it last year and the year before and 10 years ago, right? It's still impossible, So you're going to get all the talking points that are going to be talked about generally, and just hold them accountable for, with your vote, right? And if it means getting someone new, get someone new in there. So, okay.
Awesome. Charles. Muted, Charles. You are muted.
I'm sorry. I'm separating the reds and the yellow. Hold on one second. I'm almost done. Okay, I got all the reds on the side for Dr. Miscovich. Anyway, gang, this is what's keeping me going nowadays. Brought to you by Skittles. I do want to say that whatever happens out there, the bottom line is we're responsible for our own actions. And I first of all like to send my mahalo and my love to all of you who sent out your special messages of condolences. And I know my boys would appreciate that very much because they're watching right now. So thank you so much. A lot of things are happening, and again, I just want everybody to know that I take my time now more than ever because I see things not changing. But I care about my employees down at the airport, and I care about the other vendors that's working. I care about the airlines, and I care about everything that happens to us here on Kauai. But most of all, I care about what happens to us in the state. We can't do this battle alone. We got to get and Dr. Miscovich said it. He hit the nail right on the head, and that is what makes a difference is whoever we get into office because we can only do so much, and yet we work very, very hard at what we do. And I hope and pray that nobody gives up because all we can do is keep on fighting the fight. I know that soon, we'll be safe if we just follow our gut feeling and do what is right. That's really all I can say at this time. But I want everybody to know that I thought about Mel's dad, and I said, here we go again. Someone that you love uh, loses their life to COVID. Did it have to happen? It didn't have to happen, but it did. Okay, and it's just one of those things that there's no rhyme or reason. But can we do anything about it? Yes, we ourselves can, and that is we have to just protect ourselves. And what I said earlier down at the airport, I meant that wholeheartedly because I don't want anybody getting into any hassles because once Uncle Charlie is called in with my guys, we're bound. We're commissioned enforcement officers that have full enforcement powers under the state, and that's what happens. Especially if you do it in an area that's actually it comes under the feds. It's not a good thing, and I know everybody's frustrated. They don't want to wear masks, but hey, if you're not gonna do it for yourself, do it for people that may be around you that may not be protected. And they're wearing a mask, but they're still vulnerable. But just get to your destination safely. Then when you get there, you can do whatever you want. Okay? So with that said, much love and aloha to you all. Thank you to our guests, Dr. Miscovich and Dr. Akiona. And I want to send a special shout out to my brother who I haven't seen for a while, Brother Mel Raposo, and I turn it back over to him.
Thank you, Charlie. And again, condolences to you and your family on the loss of your mother-in-law. I
Thank
know a
you.
lot of people may have come on late and didn't catch that in the beginning. Charlie lost his mother-in-law from his late wife, the grandmother of his boys, his sons, last night to COVID. So prayers go out to you and your family, Charlie. A couple of announcements. If you scroll up in the comments, look for Dana Moore's post about tomorrow night's discussion, community COVID-19 Community Health Alliance initiatives
Mhm.
tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Please scroll up and look for Dana's comments per post. There is a link right in there, as well as on Wednesday. I think I lost it. Darn. There will be a discussion for our keiki on a YouTube live. Dana, why don't you go ahead and post that one again because I cannot seem to find it. So please go ahead and check that out. If that one is on Wednesday, here it is. No, that's tomorrow. So yeah, go ahead and post it up. Look for Dana Moore's comments. Go ahead and please join the discussion, people. It's very important that we all get engaged and involved and sharing information with each other. So hopefully we can make a difference in the direction that the state is heading. Also, our YouTube channel, Mel Raposo. Let me see if I can find that caption. Hold on. Right there. I'm 7 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers. So I don't know what that means, but what the heck? It's a great milestone. So if you haven't already, go over to YouTube. Every single episode of this Mel and Charlie show is on there for the last 2 years. In fact, Charlie,
Mel, what that means that you're right at 993 right now.
that's what it means. I'm at 993 subscribers. But every single episode, and Charlie, our anniversary is coming up. I think it's like on the 24th or 26th or something like that.
Mhm.
It'll be 2 years straight. So please, if you haven't, go to my YouTube channel. It's right there, Mel Raposo, and hit the subscribe button. Also hit the little bell icon because that'll alert you every time we put up a new video. Once we reach 1,000, I promise you, I'll start doing funny videos on YouTube. That won't be on Facebook. It'll just be on YouTube, and it'll be fun. So please, if you haven't already, head over there, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and you can check out any single episode that you may have missed going forward. With that, Docs, thank you so much for joining us. It was great to be back. Charlie, condolences. You guys stay safe. God bless. And also, thank you, Village. My dad, I think he signed off already, but
Oh
you
yeah.
know, all he could talk about was the Village while I was with him last week. He's so appreciative. He loves each and every one of you, and I thank you for that. Take care, guys. God bless. Stay safe. We'll see you guys on Wednesday night.
Happy
Aloha.
Pie Day.
It'll be a hot apple pie. I can promise you that. All right, guys. Aloha.